I don't know what happened, but I messed it up, so it's going to be in 2 parts. You know, it didn't matter to him how I would feel, and how, you know, our kids would feel, because obviously I was going to be pretty upset, right? And I'm going to be the one here taking care of them. But that, you know, that wasn't what mattered to him. No, what mattered to him was being able to just keep helping Ray. And then, you know, when he forced me to forbid him, basically, and say, Brian, I don't know what you're thinking, but no, you can't go there. And he had his little temper tantrum or whatever, you know. And then, you know, I asked him if he emailed her, and he automatically swore twice on his mother's grave that he didn't do that. And then he got even more, because what he did, he actually, for a fucking, I don't know how long, kept saying, I swore on my mother's grave, and if that's not good enough for you, what are we even doing? I'm like, well, but you didn't swear on a grave. You swore about an email, Brian. You never swore about an affair. But he kept pretending that he had, and I guess he was expecting me to pretend that as well. I mean, he kept doing that. You know, that was just so cruel. So cruel. To fucking pretend you did that when you didn't. And then, like I said, when I was, you know, after, I don't know how many days had gone by, it had been weeks, and I was just, you know, dying. And I was on the floor nonstop crying, and that's when he finally, you know, gave me the half-assed swear and said he wouldn't do it again. And, you know, he didn't expect me to find that strange either. That he had this, you know, big problem with swearing about an affair. Guess I wasn't supposed to think anything of that either. You know, just all these weird, odd, strange behaviors and things that, you know, I was crazy to think anything of, any of them, any of these things that just screamed out, guilty, guilty, guilty. But yeah, it was cruel. It was cruel of him, to gaslight me like that. And then he was like turning around and trying to like accuse me of things, like someone I had worked for. He was trying to like say, I'm not even close. Like the fact that you're doing that, like you're desperately trying to like turn it around on me, that I have something to be guilty about, that's even worse. Like you're making it even worse for yourself. Really. Because that just never was the case. Ever, 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 ever. And then, of course, you know, when, after I forbid their contact and blocked them from each other, and I just noticed he was too happy. I'm dying. And he's all of a sudden like too happy in his face. And that's when I went to go search his truck, and he threatened to punch me. And, you know, I noticed the 2 chargers in there. And then he let me search it, you know, a day or so later. And then, of course, I end up finding that phone that he hid under the box and that he changed the code to. And of course, he just doesn't remember what he changed that code to. It's an oddly, he changed it to a 6-digit number, which he never did. And of course, he couldn't remember. And he was trying to say that the phone forced him to change his code, but phones don't do that. They don't. the code gets changed if and when you want to change it. If the phone doesn't make you change the code. You know, and that just really killed me too, because he knew how upset I was. And he was still going to go behind my back. For what reason? Like, I mean, the money that he had borrowed from her, I made it clear to him and her that I was going to keep that money because she owed me. For all the years of taking from me with nothing in return, she owed me. For all the pills, you know, for everything. She owed me and my children, and she wasn't going to get her money back. But I did tell her, you know, if you have any concerns or questions about your money, you can talk to me. But you can't talk to him. And of course, she never said anything. So, you know, if she really wanted her money and that was why she was trying to keep contacting him, she could have communicated with me, but she didn't do that. And I almost like I'm like wondering if Brian will say that the only reason he, you know, contacted her behind my back with that old phone was because he wanted to pay her back. Because, oh, and I forgot about this. Before I forbid their contact, and, you know, before I just was completely done, I did let him pay her $100 of it. And he told me, because he was working somewhere, and he said, I'm gonna go drop that money off to Ray, and I'm gonna video call you when I do it. Okay, so he's being transparent. All right, he's gonna let me see. Okay, so what does he do? Yeah, he video calls me while he's on his way there. And then when he gets there, he leaves the phone with me on it in his truck. So he can go in and give Ray her $100 and, you know, keep their little moment private. He was trying to act like he was being transparent, and he wasn't. All he let me see was the inside of his truck while he went into her house. What that was supposed to prove to me, I have no fucking idea. All it proved to me was that he wanted a private moment with Ray. That's all it proved to me. I mean, this shit is comical. If it wasn't so sad and disgusting, it's comical. It really is. And you know, the other thing that I think about, like, I have really, like, I mean, of course this is like destroyed me, right? In so many ways. Like, I don't even look like the same person. I swear, I don't. I really don't. I mean, it's changed me. It's just fucking changed me. And I've been consistently, you know, consistently chipping away at him about it. And to me, just like everything that he accepts and has been accepting, that just is even more confirmation. Like, if he really had not done anything, there's no way he would accept what I've been doing, you know, the past, what, it's been 2 years. It's been 2 years, you know, consistently chipping away at him and just, you know, my anger and, you know, whatever, just bombarding him sometimes with all my feelings and, you know, all of that. If he really had not done anything, there's no way he would have accepted 2 years of this. No way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I know I wouldn't have. If I had really done nothing wrong, well, first of all, I would have been able to swear to my innocence, you know? I mean, but seriously, if he was, you know, just constantly on this subject, that was something that I didn't even do, there's no way that would have gone on. Because, you know, I wouldn't have, if I was innocent, I wouldn't have had to deal with that, because I would have been able to prove to him and show him that I was innocent. And, you know, I mean, I've never had like a desire or a thought or, you know, I've only wanted to have my marriage. I've only wanted my husband. So I can't even like put myself in that frame of mind of doing something like that. I really can't. I mean, I don't know. I've always loved that I've been able to have this stop sign with men, that I'm married, you know, and some of them don't like to accept that stop sign, but whatever. I was always happy to have that stop sign. You know, I don't know. Everybody's different, right? But yeah, it's hard for me to even like fathom. And it's hard for me to think that I would allow him to pick at me the way I've been picking at him for years if I had done nothing wrong. And you know, I think that's a safe thing to say for anyone. You know, if you're innocent of something that you're constantly being accused of, and you know, and that goes on for years, like how do you, if you haven't done it, you know what I mean? If you haven't actually done anything, but you're being like punished for it for years, you know, it doesn't jive, right? It doesn't jive. But in my mind, he's really taking this punishment because he is guilty. That's why he's been taking it. Yeah. I have asked him, I've told him, you know, if you want things to change, if you want me to begin to heal at all, there's some things you have to do. And there's 3 things that I am asking him to do. The first thing I want him to do is I want him to message his lovely friends and family that kicked me while I was down. And I want him to admit to them and tell them that he did wrong, that he damaged our marriage. That, you know, that he called me delusional, and the truth is, I wasn't delusional. I had very good reasons for being heartbroken and, you know, just broken. That wasn't me being crazy. It was me hurting from the things he did and said. And I want him to admit that. I want him to admit he did wrong. I want him to admit that he didn't treat me very well for a long time. I want him to do that. I want him to say that. You know, I'm not going to make him say, yes, I hit her, and, you know, he doesn't have to do that. He just has to admit that he hurt me and didn't treat me well. And that he only wants me to be respected from now on by everybody. And that he only wants me to feel loved and cherished, and he's going to do his best to do that. I want him to do that. I want him to talk to Brody, because Brody, our 13-year-old, I think he's, out of the kids, he's the one who's, you know, been affected the most by this. And I really think that if Brian can say to him, you know, son, I did some wrong things, and, you know, I hurt your mom, you know, and that's why this happened and this happened. And, you know, we don't have to get into all the details with him. He doesn't need to know all the details. Just, you know, in general, I want him to hear that, because, you know, he's like not knowing who to trust, you know, and it's hard. And then I want him to call that old pig, Ray, and let me listen. And I want him to say certain things to her. You know, and I know, yeah, I'm going to make him do this. That's okay. I'm okay with that. It's not him doing it out of his own, you know, desire to make things right. It's me making him do it. But I don't know. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if he did this on his own, but I'll take it this way. I'm fine with it. I really am. I am. There's just some things I want her to hear from him. And I want to hear her reactions. I'm gonna, you know, there's a couple things, because I do wonder, like, did he pay her behind my back? I'd like to know that. So